Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why I don't support BLM. Now, I just want to make it very clear that I'm actually talking about Black Lives Matter. And for those who may, there are some who know that the abbreviation BLM did not always apply to Black Lives Matter. It actually also initially applied to the Bureau of Land Management in America. And this existed before Black Lives Matter was created and was also known as BLM. So the BLM of Black Lives Matter is today more well known than the Bureau of Land Management. And there are some who believe that this new BLM, in other words, Black Lives Matter, was created as a conspiracy to cover up the crimes of the Bureau of Land Management. And what crimes am I talking about? I'm talking about, for instance, those who remember the Bundy standoff with the Bureau of Land Management. It says it was an armed confrontation in April 2014 near Bunkerville, Nevada, between supporters of cattle rancher Cliven Bundy and federal law enforcement agents from the Bureau of Land Management, BLM. The conflict arose from a 21-year legal dispute over Bundy's refusal to pay more than $1 million in grazing fees for using federally managed land, as well as his rejection of federal authority over public lands. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but basically, this Bureau of Land Management is a government agency in America, and there are many who believe that this bureau is in the habit of basically oppressing ranchers, but also trying to steal land from Americans, especially those who live in rural areas. I've even seen a report where it said that the Bureau of Land Management was starting fires that would then destroy property and animals, intentionally starting fires that would destroy property and animals, with obviously the intention of then trying to confiscate that land. And I think this is what they were trying to do with Cliven Bundy, that they were trying to take his cows. If you read the rest of this report, you find that they were trying to take his cows. It resulted in an armed confrontation in which there were many Americans, including those who were involved in the militia, who went down to this part of the country and supported Cliven Bundy, and it resulted in the Bureau of Land Management standing down. Just be aware that the abbreviation BLM didn't always apply to Black Lives Matter. It also applied to the Bureau of Land Management in America. Now, with regards to Black Lives Matter, the founders of Black Lives Matter were Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi. And in fact, I've got their website here. And these are the three that founded Black Lives Matter. They're all black women, and two of them are said to have been to be lesbians. One is not very clear whether she's lesbian or she actually hasn't said what her sexuality is, so-called sexual orientation. So this is from ABC News, and I know that we should be careful of news that comes out from mainstream media, but it says here, from the start, Black Lives Matter has been about LGBTQ lives. And I remember when BLM was quite prominent and it was in the news that this was starting to trickle through in the news, that it was really about getting blacks, especially blacks, because blacks don't usually support the LGBT community. That it was about trying to get blacks to accept these alternative lifestyles. So that's what this says here. From the start, the founders of Black Lives Matter have always put LGBTQ voices at the center of the conversation. The movement was founded by three black women, Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi, 2 of whom identify as queer. Okay. So I won't read the rest of that. You can read that in your own time. So these 3 here says in 2013, 3 radical black organizers, Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi, created a black-centered political movement building project called Black Lives Matter in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer, George Zimmerman. Now, I don't know how many of you have looked into Trayvon Martin's death, but it's not the way that the media spun it. Trayvon Martin was a troubled youth who got into a fight with George Zimmerman and was shot. Okay, so what they say about him is not actually true. It's the same as what they say about George Floyd, in which they try and make George Floyd look like he was innocent, and for some he's even a hero, but actually George Floyd was a drug addict, and I think there was an autopsy that was done which actually said that he didn't die from the causes that most of the media said that he died from. It said that he died from an overdose, of fentanyl, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and I know that there's some who dispute that, but remember that the media is there to play a role in convincing us to believe certain things and to allow ourselves to be herded so that we accept whatever narrative is being put before us. But we are not to be conformers. In fact, let's go to Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. It says here, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world. So those who are following and supporting BLM, they are conforming to the world. It says, but be ye transformed. So instead of being conformed, we should be transformed by the renewing, it says, renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. There's something else I wanted to say about these 3 women is that personally, I don't want to be led by these women, okay? I want to be led by Christ. And it's even the world and the church is so corrupt nowadays that I don't even look to any pastor. I don't want to be led by any pastor. Jesus is my pastor. He's the only one who he's the only one who I follow. Okay. So yeah, the 2 of these are also lesbians as well, which is not really... They are not, they should not be our example. If you're a Christian, these women should not be your example. And they've been very open about the fact that I think it was especially Patrice Cullors, who is this one here on the left, she said that they are Marxists. Okay. I think Marxism and Christianity don't go hand in hand. Marxism obviously is linked to or connected to communism, and communism is basically the denial of God and is opposite of capitalism. So let me just go to my notes here. So part of what Black Lives Matter has done is that it has created a division between whites and blacks. I know that there are some whites who support BLM, but there are some whites who don't. And this is the old divide and conquer tactic that is used by the devil. Remember that the devil and those who work for him, they always come up with ways to try and divide humanity. So we're divided along the lines of ethnicity, which is sometimes referred to as race, but I like to refer to it as ethnicity or skin color. We're divided according to the color of our skin, according to nationality, according to culture, and all these things. So BLM is actually being used by those who started BLM and those who are involved in it, because now BLM has created all these chapters around the world. They are being used by the devil, whether they are doing so knowingly or unknowingly. Remember I said that these women who started BLM were Marxists. The BLM also has a practice of pouring drinks for the dead. These dead that are either shot by them and killed by the police. It says They have a practice of pouring drinks for the dead, and this ritual is rooted in the ancient tradition of libation, a ritual involving the pouring of liquid, often alcohol, onto the ground as an offering to deities, spirits, or the deceased. This practice predates modern movements and is documented in ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, and various African cultures where it served as a way to honor ancestors and remember the dead. There's nothing about this that's Christian. All this is pagan. Okay. In the context of the Black Lives Matter movement, the act of pouring libations, commonly referred to as pouring one out or tipping, is described by leaders like Patrisse Cullors and Melina Abdullah as a spiritual practice tied to ancestral veneration and community healing. They have stated that saying the names of those who have died, especially in police violence, is not just a memorial gesture but a way to invoke the presence of the spirits of the deceased, who are believed to guide and empower the movement's work. So you see here, the act of pouring out drinks for the dead is a way to invoke the presence of the spirits of the deceased. In other words, this is very akin to necromancy, communion with the dead. It says here, some critics say that this practice involves communication with the dead, which is exactly what we've just read here, which is forbidden in scripture, which they interpret as occultic and pagan, citing biblical prohibitions against necromancy, exactly as I've said. And this is in Deuteronomy 8:18, 9-12. They claim that the say their name chant and libation rituals are part of a spiritual movement that goes beyond social justice, involving the summoning of ancestral spirits. However, supporters view the practice as a cultural and spiritual act of remembrance deeply embedded in African American traditions. It is seen as a way to affirm connection with ancestors, honor the dead, and sustain collective resilience, particularly in communities affected by systemic violence and loss. Regardless of what anyone says about this, whether they say, oh, it's just a cultural and spiritual act of remembrance, yeah, it's still spiritual, and it's a form of necromancy or communion with the dead. The ritual, this libation, is often performed at protests, memorials, and gatherings where participants pour drinks, typically 40-ounce malt liquor or other spirits, onto the ground, symbolically sharing the drink with those who have passed. While it has gained visibility through hip-hop culture and pop media, its roots are far older and more culturally significant than a modern trend. Something else I wanted to share with you before I end the video. I'm not sharing everything here because you can go and do your own research. Patrisse Cullors, especially, who was one of the co-founders of BLM, has been linked to multiple real estate purchases in California, including a $6 million mansion bought in October 2020 with funds donated to Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. So, in fact, there's a joke about BLM in which it says the abbreviation BLM actually stands for Buy Large Mansions, because Patrisse Cullors, this one here, this woman she has bought at least 3 mansions that I know about. See here, there's a report from NPR which says secret $6 million home as allies and critics skeptical of BLM. Let's just open that link and see what we can see there. Yeah, sorry, it's taking a long time, but yeah, maybe if we just go back. Yeah, basically, yeah, my internet is being a bit slow here. Yeah, maybe I can just say something about George Floyd whilst we're here, and I think everyone remembers George Floyd. So George Floyd, there are many who don't know that George Floyd was actually a porn star, and what you'll find with many of these people in the major events is that when you dig, you find that they're actually actors and actresses, and that would include Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an actor. He was on. He appeared, I think, once or twice on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was on Home Alone. He was in WWE wrestling. And many other films. Obviously, he was also on The Apprentice, the American version of The Apprentice, and yeah. So I was just talking about George Floyd being an actor, a porn star, and I also mentioned Donald Trump and Zelensky from Ukraine, who has not allowed elections to take place in Ukraine since he has been president. But not that I believe in elections anyway. But most of these, especially politicians, have been actors, including Ronald Reagan, and even Trump's vice president, so I forget his name at the moment. He's also an actor as well. As George Floyd was an actor, and there are many who don't know that George Floyd and the police officer who was shown kneeling on his neck, that they were actually knew each other, that they actually used to work as doormen or door staff at one of the nightclubs. They actually knew each other. So why am I saying all this? Because I'm very skeptical of the official narrative behind the George Floyd incident, because as far as I'm concerned, it might actually have been a staged event, just like with the Charlie Kirk so-called assassination. Because I wasn't there. Okay, this is what we know about George Floyd has been told to us by the media, mainly by the media, and the media is the same one that said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and that turned out to be a lie, or that Osama bin Laden orchestrated the events of 9/11 from a cave in Afghanistan, which also turned out to be a lie, and many other such events. And they are still today pushing the climate change agenda, which we know to be a false science. So yeah. If we just read I can just read a few things here about Patrisse Cullors. I think I already read this, about how she bought this $6 million mansion in California. It says the property, known as the Campus, is a 6,500 square foot estate in Southern California, featuring a pool, soundstage, multiple bedrooms, and a guest bungalow. See here, Cullors and other BLM leaders defended the purchase, stating the mansion was intended as a safe space and creative hub for Black artists and activists, calling it the Creator's House. What a load of baloney. The foundation also hosted events at the property, including a 2023 dinner for families affected by police violence. So she bought a $6 million property so she could make it a safe space and to entertain families affected by police violence. I don't believe that. And there have been other properties as well that she has bought. There are two more properties that I'm aware of, one of which was burnt in the fires in California. And also there have been reports that the leaders of BLM have also fraudulently given funds to their relatives as well. See, there's another one here. Let's go to this one. Maybe we can just finish with this one. says, why did BLM, this is from the Daily Mail, why did BLM buy LA, Los Angeles mansion for 5.8 million from developer friend who paid 3.1 for it just 6 days earlier? Transaction raises serious questions. This might actually be to do with the same property that we've already read about. Yeah, as I was just saying, I'm aware that Patrice Cullors has bought about 3 mansions, and that's why sometimes BLM is referred to as buy large mansions. It's a scam basically, and also the hidden agenda behind BLM, as I've already stated, is about. Let's just go back to it here. It says from the start, Black Lives Matter has been about LGBTQ lives, which has nothing to do with Christianity. And the founders of BLM are known to be, openly said that they are Marxists, and that is not in line with Christianity. So yeah, that's just to make you aware of BLM, and BLM hasn't gone away; it's still there in the background, still promoting their anti-Christian agenda. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share about BLM and why I don't support BLM. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.